Hi, and welcome to Life is Magic AF. I'm Leonie, and each week I'll be reading out your stories and experiences of all things weird, spooky, unexplained, miraculous or magical. I'll also be talking about anything related to those stories and giving you tips on how you can embrace your magic. If you'd like your story featured on the show, please email me at magicafstories@gmail.com. Today, we're talking about real experiences and trusting your intuition. Our first story today is from Dee. Dee says, "When I was about 16, my granddad died, but there were some strange things that happened right before he died, and I wanted to share them in this story." So the actual night that my granddad died, it was a Sunday night, and I said to my mum, "Please, can we go up and see Nanny and Grandad?" It was only about an hour's drive to go and see them, but my mum said no, and that it was a bit late now, and she didn't really have the petrol money, so we couldn't go tonight. She said we would go another night, but I kept on and on. "Please, can we go and see them? Please, can we go and see Nanny and Grandad?" I just had this really awful feeling in my stomach that something really bad was going to happen. My mum wasn't going to be persuaded, and she said again, "No, sorry, we're not going." The feeling didn't go away. We always used to see my grandparents every Wednesday, and we had just seen them this week. Everyone was well and healthy, nothing was out of the ordinary. It was a normal week, really. But I just that evening had the strongest feeling in my stomach that we needed to go and see them. A few hours later, we got a phone call. I think maybe it was close to midnight. It was definitely gone 11 p.m. But we got the phone call to say that Grandad had been rushed to hospital and we needed to get there as soon as possible. Mum got us all up and dressed quickly, and when we finally made it to the hospital an hour away, we were 20 minutes too late. My granddad had already passed away by then. I know that my mum felt really guilty, but obviously I didn't rub it in or say I told you so or anything like that at all. We were all devastated. Even now, I wish that I'd been more forceful with what I just knew in my gut. This was shortly before I got my first moped, so I wasn't even mobile myself at that point. I couldn't just take myself on the hour's journey on a Sunday night, so I was relying on my mum still for lifts and to get around everywhere. Shortly after this, we had the funeral for my granddad, and the night before the funeral, some more really weird things happened. All that night, our landline phone kept ringing. We would answer it and there'd be nobody there. So we'd put the phone down and then it would ring again. We'd answer it. Again, there'd be nobody there. So we dialed out on it to see was there something wrong with the line, was it a crossed line or something like that, but we could still make calls out fine. This happened about 3 or 4 times where the phone would ring, we'd answer it and it was just silent on the other end or just like a static noise. Mine and my sister's mobiles rang as well, and we went to answer it and again nobody was there. The call just cut out. We didn't know this at the time, but meanwhile at my nan's house, her cupboard doors in the kitchen kept opening on their own, and we later learned that her landline phone also rang twice with nobody there when it was answered. It was so strange how it happened, and it was just the night before my granddad's funeral, so I really think it might have been him trying to reach out to us somehow to let us know that he was there and he was still around. We've had a few other things happen since, but maybe I'll write in with those another time. This is a perfect example of just knowing something and it being a total gut feeling. So many times we try to push it down or dismiss it, but there's something unmistakable when we just know that we're right. I'm really sad to hear that story. You know, it's it's always difficult when we have a gut feeling like that and it's, a negative feeling, and then we aren't able to act on it, or we don't act on it for whatever reason, and then we turn out to be right. Oh, it's just gutting. So another similar story was sent to me by Katie. She says, so back in May this year, I had a vivid dream. Someone was telling me that they were passing over. At first, during the dream, I was worried, sad that this person was leaving this life, but they were so calm. They explained that they were okay, they were at peace, but they didn't want to go without saying goodbye and letting me know they were okay. I felt reassured by this and accepted they were leaving and wished them well. When I woke up, I couldn't shake this dream. I knew I needed to remember it, but I didn't know why yet. My partner had gone to work early before I got a chance to speak to him. His nan is in her 90s. She's the oldest person I know, so I figured maybe she had visited me to let me know to tell my partner. I sent him a message to give her a call and explained I'd had an odd dream and to just give her a call just in case. She was, and is, fine and in good spirits. The dream rattled around in my head for a few days, and eventually I thought little more of it. A little while later, I got a message from my friend's mum. He had passed away about a month previously. At first, I didn't put two and two together. I was so shocked he was gone. One of my very spiritual friends called me the next day out of the blue, and I was clearly upset. I explained what had happened and how sad I was about it, and she said to me, "You know he's okay though, don't you?" The emphasis on the "no" made me confused at first, and initially I protested and felt a bit angry that I didn't know what had happened to him. And then it dawned on me, the dream I had. I looked up the message I sent to my partner. It was 2 days after my friend passed away. He said goodbye to me. I did know he was okay. My friend and I had a special connection. No matter where we went in the world, we would always keep in touch. We met when we were 14 and had been friends ever since. We got each other through the toughest of times. I'm heartbroken he's gone, but I'm glad he said goodbye and he's at peace. Wow! Oh my goodness! Again, oh my goodness, another example of just knowing and trusting. Even if we don't fully twig at first, eventually we put the pieces together and we realise that we do know. And, in this instance, obviously it took your friend saying to you, but you do know that he's okay. And then everything clicked and you were like, I know. And so in that way, I guess it was able to bring you some comfort. So you knew he was okay. He'd come and he'd said goodbye to you and you knew where he was. He was fine. That's a lovely ending to that story, but it's still sad that your friend passed away. I wonder though if you still have that connection. Have you had any communication from him since? Sometimes, so I've had quite a few family members myself that have passed away over the years, and every now and again I see them in a dream, and it's not just a normal dream. It is very clearly a visitation dream, because it's kind of like a little update of where they are, what they're doing, how they're feeling, or just them checking in and letting me know that they're still around and that they're kind of keeping up to date with things I've been doing. It's so cool. It's not the same because you do miss them. You miss having them there, in person, but it's still nice that they check in every now and again. So this whole theme of just knowing and kind of trusting that we do know, it's the same thing when we ask questions to spirit or God, goddess, the universe, insert your name of choice, whatever you want to call it. So many times we doubt that we could ever actually get an answer or clear guidance when we ask for it, or communication. And if we do think we've received an answer of some sort, then we doubt whether it's right or whether we've heard it correctly. This doubt blocks so much. Honestly, so much. Basically, if you've asked Spirit a question, or if you've asked your loved ones a question, or the universe, you will almost certainly get an answer, but it might not be in the form that you're expecting. And sometimes you haven't asked anything, but you'll still get communication come through anyway. It's our job not to push it away or sweep it aside. Having faith in yourself that you could actually, and indeed do and will, get answers and messages is something that bothers so many people. A lot of people have this weird idea that Spirit only talks to certain gifted people, and this just isn't true. I've spent so many years working with students and clients to help them bring out their own spiritual gifts that are already there. But the main thing that has always been a deciding factor is confidence in yourself and in your intuition. It sounds too simple, too good to be true, but honestly, hand on heart, if you ask, Spirit will speak every single time. How they speak might differ, especially until you find a way that works best for you and you learn to interpret what you're given, but they do answer every single time, I promise. Even if it's just to tell you that they aren't going to give you a proper answer. I know that sounds like a bit of a cop-out, but I've had this so many times before with my guide, and it is bloody frustrating, but it definitely counts as a response. So even if they say to you, so my guide sometimes will say, I'm not answering that question, or he'll go, you don't need to know that. It's really annoying because you're like, just tell me. But I've still had an answer. You might receive an answer in any kind of different way. And I often say to people that if you think you've had an answer, then you have. Answers and messages may come in many different ways, such as through direct thought or a download of information to your brain, a feeling, an image or object, hearing a word or sound, synchronicity, which is repeated coincidences that are too much to be pure coincidence, smells, emotions, or even a combination of any of these. Always trust what you get. I know it seems difficult, even if it seems like a really trivial thing at first that you're getting through, or maybe you think it's too fantastical to be real. But one of the reasons that we doubt ourselves and our ability to connect is that we're taught from early on that unless something can be measured or quantified and verified by someone else, then it's not reliable or real. And this is so not true. I get really frustrated with this, but if you feel it, then it's real. And I know there's going to be people out there that disagree or say, oh, that's rubbish. Honestly, each to their own. This has just been my experience. But if you hear something or you get a flash of it in your mind, then it happened. Okay? That is the bottom line as far as I'm concerned. As I said, I totally get it that people are going to disagree, and that's fine, but I'm only saying to you what I know to be true. Sometimes Spirit has a message for you alone because it wouldn't mean anything to anyone else, or it wouldn't help them on their journey. So no one else might have been around to hear that sound or word or smell that particular smell. It doesn't mean that you're losing the plot, I promise. But knowing that you've received a communication and then trusting what you've received are huge steps towards strengthening your connection. That's all for today. So thank you so much for listening. Join us next time for more shared experiences. If you want to share your story, and I'd love to hear it, please send in your stories to magicafstories@gmail.com. It's all just further